The Young and the Restless Spoilers. Thurdays, the 23rd of July, 2026. Welcome back to our channel, everyone. Today is a beautiful, drama-filled day to dive into the absolute chaos that is Genoa City. Grab your coffee, your wine, or whatever you need to get through this, because we have a massive amount to unpack from this latest episode. I seriously need to vent about what is happening on our screens right now, so let's get right into it. I cannot believe they actually went there. I am sitting here staring at my screen, completely rewinding the episode because my jaw is literally on the floor. Are the writers completely out of their minds? I mean, I know some people are loving this chaotic, unpredictable energy, but personally, I am losing my mind. Phyllis Summers kissing Matt Clark. Matt Clark, the man who has tortured the Newman family, the man who has a history so dark, violent, and twisted that he shouldn't even be walking the streets of Genoa City, let alone getting cozy in the lobby with Phyllis. And I just have to scream about this because I've been watching this show for years, and this is by far the most unhinged, reckless, and baffling thing Phyllis has done in a very long time. And that is saying a lot for Phyllis Summers. Like, what is actually going through her head right now? Is she doing this just to get a massive reaction out of Nick? Because if so, it absolutely worked. But at what cost? Let's break down that lobby scene, because I am still vibrating with rage and confusion. So Matt is doing his usual manipulative, woe is me, I can't build a life in Genoa City routine, playing the victim like he always does. He is so incredibly smug, and it drives me crazy. And Phyllis, instead of telling him to pack his bags and get out of town like any sane, rational person would, actually leans in and kisses him. She hugged him and kissed him right there in the open lobby for anyone to see. And of course, because this is a soap opera and timing is literally everything, who walks into the lobby at that exact agonizing second? Nick Newman. I mean, you could practically see the steam coming out of Nick's ears. The look on his face was a mix of absolute disgust, deep betrayal, and pure, unadulterated fury. Phyllis just looks at him, totally unbothered, and says, "It's none of his business." Excuse me? I know they aren't together right now, but you are kissing the man who is the absolute bane of his existence. The man who trapped him in a gas station in Vegas. But wait, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's talk about Matt's smug little face when he asked if that kiss was an invitation to stay. He knows exactly what he is playing her to get to Nick. And then Nick demands that Matt leave forever. He goes full alpha male Newman, barking orders and acting like he owns the... But Phyllis actually defends Matt. She throws it right back in Nick's face that Matt saved his life and that she saved his life and that the Newmans don't get to dictate who stays and who goes in the... Okay, back to the point. I kind of see Phyllis's logic here, because Victor Newman has been playing God with everyone's lives for decades. Victor literally moved Matt onto the Newman ranch just to keep an eye on him, completely ignoring how it terrified Sharon. But Phyllis taking Matt upstairs. No, just no. You do not sleep with the enemy just to prove a point to your ex or to rebel against the Newmans. I am dreading where this is going. Is Phyllis really falling for his amnesiac changed man act, or is she playing a long, dangerous game to get leverage? Because if she's playing him, she is playing with absolute fire. And if she's genuinely attracted to him, I might have to throw my remote at the TV. Remember when they tried this kind of toxic, dangerous pairing with other villains in the past? Yeah, didn't work then either. It just leads to total destruction. So after Phyllis leads Matt upstairs to do God knows what, Nick is just left standing there fuming. He sits down at a table looking like he's about to physically explode, and in walks Victoria. Now, Victoria is dealing with her own massive family drama right now, especially with Nikki's failing health, the terrifying bandage removal, and Victor's shady trust fund maneuvers trying to steal Nikki's shares. But she takes one look at her brother and knows he's deeply upset. Nick actually vents to her about what he just saw with Phyllis and Matt, and Victoria's reaction. She literally says Phyllis and Matt belong together. Ouch. But honestly, she's not wrong. They are both chaotic, destructive forces of nature who ruin everything they touch. But then Victoria asks the million-dollar question, is Nick jealous? And Nick says no. I'm sorry, but that is the biggest lie ever told on daytime television. Of course he is jealous. He is seething. And honestly, I am so worried about Nick right now. We all know he's been struggling with his sobriety, using pills to cope with the stress of Nikki's condition and Matt's looming presence. Seeing Phyllis with Matt might be the exact emotional trigger that sends him spiraling back into a full-blown relapse. I am absolutely terrified. But wait, the episode gets even crazier, because after Nick stomps off upstairs to probably punch a wall or pop a pill, Victoria is left alone at the table, and who just happens to stroll by? Kyle Abbott. Yes, Kyle Abbott. Am I the only one who felt the absolute crackle of electricity in the room when these two started? I know they have a massive age gap and a deeply rooted history of family warfare, but the chemistry is undeniably there. Victoria invites him to sit down and have a drink. Kyle, who is currently drowning in his own family's massive trauma, agrees, but he makes a rule. They can't talk about their families, which is honestly the smartest thing Kyle has said in months. Because if they talk about Victor and Jack, they will just end up screaming at each other and ruining the vibe. So they just sit there in silence. And it wasn't an awkward silence, you guys. It was a heavy, loaded, tension-filled silence. You could cut the sexual tension with a knife. And then Kyle suggests they play a little game. He wants them to share a secret. And Victoria, the absolute ice queen of Newman Enterprises, the woman who never lets her guard down for anyone, actually plays along. And her secret? She confesses that she uses Jabo's signature foundation and has been using it for years. I screamed. That is so petty, so funny, and so perfectly Victoria. The CEO of Newman Enterprises secretly wearing her rival family's makeup is such a small, intimate detail, but it completely breaks the ice between them. It shows a vulnerable, playful side of Victoria that we haven't seen since Cole Howard died. And then she looks at Kyle with this soft, almost flirtatious look in her eyes and says, now it's your turn. Oh my God. What is he going to say? Is he going to confess his highly dangerous secret plan with Patty Williams? Or is he going to say something completely inappropriate and romantic? I am completely here for this pairing, and I don't care who judges me. Let's just pause and think about the absolute nuclear fallout if Victoria and Kyle actually hook up. Victor Newman hates the Abbotts with a burning, fiery passion. He hates Jack, he hates Kyle, and he especially hates the idea of his precious daughter getting involved with another Abbott. Remember her history with Billy? Victor nearly had a stroke every time they got back together. If Victor finds out that Victoria is sneaking around with Kyle Abbott, the same Kyle Abbott who is currently plotting with Patty Williams to destroy Victor, Victor will actually have a heart attack. I am not even exaggerating. The fallout will be biblical, and honestly, Claire's going to lose her mind too. Claire has been warning Kyle to stay away from her grandfather, and now Kyle might become her stepdad? The messy, complicated drama of it all is just too good. I am praying the writers go all the way with this. We need a scandalous, forbidden romance right now to break up all the corporate boardroom boredom that we've been sitting through lately. Okay, let's take a deep breath and shift gears to the Abbott mansion, because things over there are just as insane, but in a much darker, creepier way. So Jack is finally home recovering from his stabbing. Thank goodness. The man has been through the absolute ringer, and Diane is hovering over him, playing the doting nurse. But the vibe in that house is not peaceful at all. It is thick with heavy paranoia, because Dr. Lawrence Markham is still out there somewhere. And Diane is absolutely terrified. I don't blame her. The man ambushed her, locked her in a padded cell, and completely messed with her head. She is living in a constant state of fear, waiting for the other shoe to drop. And Kyle is there, trying to play the hero, but he is making everything so much worse. Can we talk about Kyle's brilliant master plan for a second? He proudly announces to Jack and Diane that he went to visit Patty Williams in jail to pressure her for information on Victor. Jack, being the only adult in the room with a functioning brain, immediately asks why on earth Patty would ever betray Victor. And Kyle's response? He says he's going to trick Patty with a plea deal. Are you kidding me? Kyle, you are going to trick Patty Williams? The woman is a certified, unhinged, violent psychopath. She poisoned Summer. She kidnapped Abby and Dominic just to torture Ashley and send her into a feral breakdown. She has a terrifying, decades-long obsession with your father. You do not play games with Patty Williams. Kyle is acting so arrogant, thinking he can outsmart these seasoned villains, and it is going to blow up in his face. I am dreading the moment Patty realizes she's being played. She will unleash hell on the Abbotts, and Kyle will be entirely to blame for poking the bear. But Diane quickly redirects the conversation, and this is where it gets really chilling. She tells Kyle and Jack that they need to focus on finding Dr. Markham. She says he is just as dangerous as Patty, if not more so. And then she starts recounting what happened when she was locked up in that horrible house. She talks about how Markham was manipulating her, playing sick mind games, and the way she described it, she said it felt like he was flirting with her. My skin is literally crawling just typing. That is so deeply unsettling. Markham isn't just a hired thug. He's a sadistic creep who enjoys playing with his victim's mind. Diane makes a really valid point. She and Kyle are the only ones who can testify that Markham locked her up. If something happens to them, if they are eliminated, Lawrence Markham feels like he got away with it. He is out there, hiding in the shadows, waiting for his moment to strike. The psychological horror of this storyline is actually really well done. I am genuinely on the edge of my seat waiting for Markham to pop out from behind a curtain in the Abbott living room. And then Diane drops a massive clue that changes everything. She remembers that when she was in Markham's weird little prison room, she saw books on the shelf written by Dr. Alan Loren. Now, for those of you who might have forgotten the deep lore of this show, Alan Laurent has a twin brother named Martin, and Martin is a complete psychopath who actually murdered Alan and took over his life for him. It's a classic soap opera twin twist, and I love that they are bringing it back into play. Diane puts two and two together and realizes there has to be a connection between Lawrence Markham and Martin Laurent. They run in the same psychiatric circles. They attended the same conferences. They served on the same boards. Diane is convinced that Martin knows where Markham is hiding. So Diane, in her desperate, traumatized state, declares that she needs to go see Martin Laurent. And just as Diane says this, who walks around the corner? Tracy freaking Abbott, the absolute MVP of the Abbott family. Tracy hears Diane's crazy plan and immediately shuts it. She asks Diane if she is seriously planning to contact that monster, because let's not forget, Martin Laurent held Phyllis and Sharon hostage in a clinic. He is incredibly dangerous. But Diane is desperate. She explains her theory about the connection. And then Tracy does the most selfless, brave, and terrifying thing ever. She says that Martin will never talk to Diane, but he might talk to her. Oh my God. Tracy is volunteering to step into the lion's den. Jack, of course, completely freaks out. He hates the idea. He wants to protect his sister. But Tracy stands her ground. She says this will help her take her power back. She says she has to do this for the family and for herself. I literally cheered at my screen. Tracy is usually the soft-spoken, peacemaking sister who bakes cookies and writes novels. Seeing her step up to confront a psychopath to save her family, that is character growth. That is why I love this show. So Jack and Kyle realize they can't stop her, and they leave the room to call Detective Burrow to set up the meeting. Diane, looking totally shocked, asks Tracy if she is absolutely sure she wants to do this. And Tracy says yes. She says she is almost looking forward to seeing that maniac's face. And then she drops the biggest bombshell of the night. She tells Diane that she might have a way to pull information out of Martin, because Martin has been writing her letters from his mental facility. What? Martin Laurent has been sending Tracy letters? How long has this been going on? What do the letters say? Is he obsessed with her? This is such a creepy, psychological thriller kind of twist, and I am obsessed with it. Tracy Abbott playing a dangerous game of cat and mouse with a psychopathic pen pal is the storyline I didn't know I needed, but now I cannot live without it. So let's look at the big picture here, because my brain is spinning out. We have Phyllis making out with Matt Clark, potentially driving Nick into a drug-fueled rage that could end his life. We have Victoria and Kyle sharing intimate secrets and brewing up a forbidden romance that will absolutely destroy Victor and Claire. We have Kyle playing a highly dangerous game of chicken with Patty Williams, and we have Tracy Abbott preparing to face off against a psychopathic pen pal to find a creepy doctor who is stalking Diane. Genoa City is literally on fire right now, and I am sitting here typing furiously late at night because I just need to know what happens next. Will Tracy get the information she needs before Markham strikes again? Will Nick relapse and do something unforgivable to Matt? Will Victor catch Victoria and Kyle? I swear, if the writers drop the ball on any of these storylines, I will riot. But right now, I am fully invested. I know some fans are complaining about the dark turns this show has taken lately, but honestly, this is the kind of high-stakes, messy, emotional drama that made us all fall in love with soap operas in the first place. Because think about it. For years, we've had to sit through endless corporate boardroom meetings where people just yell about mergers and acquisitions. Oh no, Jabot is buying Newman Media. Who cares? Give me the real drama. Give me Tracy confronting her deepest fears and stepping up as the matriarch. Give me Phyllis making the absolute worst possible choices for her love life because she thrives on chaos. Give me the forbidden, scandalous hookups that tear families apart. That is the true essence of The Young and the Restless. I feel like the writers are finally remembering. Yes, I am frustrated with Kyle's stupidity. Yes, I am terrified for Nick's sobriety. But that means the show is making me feel something. I am emotionally invested. I just hope they don't rush these plots. Let the Victoria and Kyle tension simmer. Let them have a few more secret drinks and stolen glances before they inevitably end up in bed together. Let Tracy have a full-blown psychological showdown with Martin. And for the love of everything, please let Nick get some actual therapy instead of just yelling at everyone in the GCAT. Anyway, I need to go to sleep before I start writing my own theories about Tracy and Martin's letters. Let me know in the comments what you guys think, because I know I can't be the only one losing my mind over this episode.